I'm JQ.
I'm TQ.
I'm AQ, Senior.
And we're the Q Boys. And this is Smallflower TV. Pops. The man, the myth, the legend.
The big boss. We brought in Abdul Qayyum, pharmacist, owner of Merz Apothecary, my business partner, and an all-around stylish, cool dude to talk about.
And the man who practices what he preaches at this place.
Yeah, the conscience of Merz Apothecary, our father. And we brought him in because we've had, over the years, we've talked a little bit about the history of the store, and you can read about it online, but we just felt like
you gotta hear it from him, because
gotta hear it straight from the horse's mouth. Yeah. So horse, tell us what's up. Let's talk a little bit about. So I mean, a lot of people, if you're watching this, Smallflower is just a website, but we have a business called Merz Apothecary here in Chicago, founded in 1875, and there were 3 generations of Merz owners. Right? It's coming about 1972. Can I just set it up? You were born in India, raised in Pakistan. You come here to go to Chicago to go to pharmacy school. You meet Rita Qayyum, who's sitting back behind the camera, my mom, our mom, and you got married, and you are a pharmacist, and you're out to conquer the world or raise a family or whatever's next. Lay down the history for us, Pops.
So I thought I was going to conquer the world. So I started out as 1969. I graduated pharmacy school thinking I came from a third world country. I was going to learn modern medicine, and I was going to become something of a specialist in some form, and then allow myself a certain lifestyle that I wanted to achieve, because you need to have fairly successful business or make enough to be able to put,
raise a family.
College, raise a family, right?
Yeah.
So I found that to be very frustrating doing it as a pharmacist in those days, because all I ended up doing was pouring pills from a big bottle, putting them in a little bottle, type a label, and the talk was, when we got together with us pharmacists from my fraternity, pharmacy fraternity, or my class, was like, how many scripts can you fill in a day? We could brag about, I can do 400 with a tech, and it just didn't.
It's funny, I'm laughing only because that's so far from what we do now, right? So you're a pharmacist.
Yes, I was.
You're not enjoying it.
I wasn't. Yeah, I was not enjoying it. Thinking, how can I get out of this business? I actually enrolled in law school part-time, thinking if I, went there, maybe I can find some sort of satisfaction being a lawyer, patent attorney, something like that. I only spent maybe half a semester, or maybe a semester and a half going part-time, found out that that's not what I wanted to do. So I was kind of like fish out of water, was not happy working in pharmacies, hospital, retail, essentially did the same thing both places. So this is where I call...
How old were you at this point?
1970, so I'm 24 years old, 25 in 1971 I get married.
So is he born?
No, he was not born yet. So he was born 70.
Next year, right?
Yeah. So anyway, I'm pharmacist, frustrated with my life, and didn't know what to do. And this is where I now say so many divine interventions happened in my life. One of them being, came across Merz Apothecary. I had no plans. Yeah, so I had no plans to be in pharmacy, as I said. So there was a little old lady who lived behind us, where we lived on a street west of us, who had known the family from mom's side of the family, and called me one day, and Mrs. Kipp said, I should go talk to Ralph Merz, who has a store. And I said, Mrs. Kipp, I have no plan to be a pharmacist. I really don't want to be buying a store. But she insisted, and having been brought up with the British influence and that you respected your elders and you did what they said. So I said, okay, Mrs. Kipp.
That's a pretty Pakistani influence.
Yeah, well, but I mean,
traditional influence.
But because we were,
anyway.
brought up under the. Anyway, I call it the British influence. But anyway, so I said, I'll go talk to him. So the next day or a couple of days later, it was actually a day after my dad passed away back home that I went to see Mr. Merz, and I had a day off and thought I'd get this over with. I went there, walked into this place, and
what did it look like?
It was a very small store. It was very charming, but the wood was all painted pine, and it was not a fancy woodwork or anything. But
there were some. I remember there's from when I was a kid. There were rocking chairs up.
Yeah, rocking chairs up in the front. All the herb jars on one side of the store. When you walked in on the left side, there were these jars which we have downstairs.
Very aromatic.
And the right, very aromatic. And the right side was all these herbal extracts and tinctures which we have downstairs.
Yeah, still in the store.
Still in the store. And it was a majestic sight. And then, having been raised in a store in Pakistan, chemist shop, my brother used to have one, I recognized some of the products, the German products, so I thought, this looks familiar, and then I went in the back, he took me, and there were these drums of herbs, big drums that they used to package and formulate different herbal mixtures.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I thought, wow, this is, and again, I had that influence, I had that knowledge, not knowledge, but I was brought up with my mother giving us herbal familiarity.
It's in your background.
My mother had given us herbs for cough, and herbs for laxatives, herbs for whatever was ailing us, and so I kind of knew that there was some other way of treating than just what I had learned. So divine interventions happen, I walk in, he says to me, well, you're not German, and you're going to lose about 40% of the business, and I don't know if you're going to be able to support your family, because I was making more as a pharmacist than he was as owning the store, and taking a 40% cut of his income would have been really devastating blow to me. However, and to this day I say, I never thought of anything. I didn't think that I was going to make it and something's going to happen. No, you know what happened? It was like I became dumb. And I became dumb. It's like somebody just said buy it. And I did it. He sent me to his accountant. I'll fast forward it up. He sent
this is what, 20 minutes after you walk in the
15 minutes, and then went over to his accountant, who turned out to be my next door neighbor where we were living, but I hadn't met him yet. So he said, buy it. He said, buy the building too. And I said, but I have no money. He said, don't worry about it. Ralph will hold the payments and whatever. Anyway, I went home, told Mom, I think I just bought a business and a building.
And I was in utero at this time,
That's right? Yeah, yeah. So this is now 1972, December 7, some such date, and I was to take over the business January 1, even though none of the papers had been filed and the building had to have title, whatever, searched, and it takes just several months. So all that aside, so we did it the most unconventional way. And Mr. Merz kept the money in a kitty, and all the sales from that day on will go into that kitty. We paid the bills out of that, and then whenever the final thing settled, like March, end of March, beginning of April, whatever, then officially, so I got a kitty full of money that had all its cash and whatever, went to the bank, and and that's
how you own the business.
I own the business and the building. And then Mr. Merz was, of course, extremely nice and helpful, and stayed with me for a year, and trained me well, and he was a good guy. At the end, he was a little bit not happy with me, because the business ended up doing 150% of what he was doing instead of 60% of what he was doing. And I call it, again, divine intervention number 2, that I do something that I didn't even know what I was doing, but being a businessman by nature, I think, is in my blood, and also I didn't know that I had affinity to languages. As soon as I took over, I went to Berlitz and took a crash course in conversational German, and I didn't know that I had the ability to say the words that I said in such a way that people thought I knew the language pretty well. So I could fool a lot of people. And the Germans who came in there, and we had probably 80% of our business were
Yeah.
German customers in those days, and they just opened. They adopted me. I became, involved with a lot of functions and whatever, whenever they needed an ad or whatever, I would contribute something.
And you became part of the community.
Yeah, I did. And of course, by marriage, my father-in-law, your grandfather,
we're part German as well.
Yeah, he came from Germany, so I was kind of exposed to that side of the culture anyway. And then in my past life, I think there must have been some German, and I think they always say everybody has in their past life has been an Indian once. So that's what they say. So, have you not heard that?
No.
Yeah, they say that everybody in their past life has had one Indian, go around somewhere.
All right. Anyway, so that's the beginning of this community pharmacy that has grown up into Merz Apothecary, well-known pharmacy and boutique around the world, and Smallflower, the website known around the world, at least by some people, at least by you, because you're watching this. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for part 2 when we get into the developing history. All right? Thanks for joining us, Pops.
See you.
Appreciate it.
Thank
You're
you.
the man.